you can, for those people who are not familiar with Twitter, like I'm not sure who wouldn't be familiar with Twitter at this point, but I figure I'll show you some basics and then I'll show you some cool things that you can do that's a little bit more advanced as well. Okay? Sound good?
That was great.
Okay.
Great.
So those who are not familiar with Twitter, the example I always like to give is thinking about back in the day, like not even going that far back, maybe like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was very hard to communicate with people. I mean, generally we had, phone, we had, mail, we had basic things like that, but communication with anyone in the world was not really a possible thing, not instantaneously. With Twitter, we basically have the ability to communicate with anyone in the world at any moment. So if I want to contact some random person in Africa or Asia or North America, I can do that. I can talk to my politicians. I can talk to anybody in the world I want to through the tool of Twitter at any point. That's kind of a cool thing to me, that you can talk to anybody. I mean, literally anyone, because if they're on Twitter, you can communicate with them. And that's really the power of Twitter, that you can basically communicate with anybody that's there. There's about 1 billion people that are kind of like, there's 1 billion accounts. I'm not sure how many people that really represents, but there's about 1 billion accounts on Twitter. So pretty much a good proportion of the world is on Twitter. And what happens is you can basically tweet out messages to any of those people at any moment, and they will get those messages. So the goal of Twitter was originally to be a SMS, like an instant messaging service. And the idea was that, they were trying to get around the fact that when you sent text messages in the past, the phone companies would charge you a small nominal fee. Well, with Twitter, you get around that, where you could just basically, send your messages without having to pay that fee every time. So the idea is that you can basically instant message anybody in the world. But the amazing thing about Twitter, and I can kind of give you an example. This is just a news feed here of random things that I'm signed up with. I'm just going to give you a random tweet that you can look at right here on the screen. You'll notice that this is what a tweet looks like. It has like a little bit of a description in it. This is all in Spanish. And you'll see like a video as well. So not only can you tweet out, like it used to be 140 characters, they've increased it to 200 characters. But now you can tweet out, you can also tweet out videos, and you can tweet out links. So you can put in pictures, you can put in a whole bunch of stuff within your tweet. So now you can basically have all this, not only just send a simple message to people, but you can send out a message with a video, with pretty elaborate stuff. The videos are limited though. You can only have up to 2 minutes in your video. If you want to link to a longer video, you can, but you have to, it goes outside of Twitter. So the point is, there's a lot of cool functionality just in the basics of just using Twitter. Now, the way Twitter works is when you tweet out, you generally tweet out to your following. So if I tweeted, hi world, okay, that's a tweet. I just sent that out to my my following. So my following would get this message. Anyone that follows me. So I have about just under 40,000 followers on Twitter, and all of those people would get that message. Now they would get it in their timeline, and they might be getting messages from a whole bunch of other people as well. So what ends up happening is any message that you put out on Twitter gets instantly buried, usually, by a whole bunch of other messages. The more people they follow, the more messages that they'll be getting. So there's a good thing and a bad thing in that. So when you tweet out on Twitter, your message will generally get buried, and a percentage of the people will actually see it, but it'll generally get buried. So what can happen is you can actually use that to your advantage in the respect that you can send out the same message to the same audience and not feel like you're spamming them because different people within that audience might see it. Okay, so it's a very powerful thing in that respect that you can actually repeat the message. And repeating it, you can actually modify it. So one of the tricks that I did way back when was I made $20,000 in an hour on Twitter just by tweeting a message where I was looking for a client. I was trying to find a client, and what I did was I kept on tweeting similar messages to try to find that engagement where I could say, okay, these people are truly interested in this, that what I'm offering. And as I'm saying, like you can basically keep on tweeting out and adjust your message until you get people reacting to it. And the great thing is now with Twitter, if you look at my tweet here that I just tweeted out, hi world, not a great message, but it's a message. You can click on this, the 3 bars right here, and it gives you the analytics of how many people saw it. Like, it's not a great message, so it got 33, and it's live, it's real time, so it just changed to 33 impressions. That means, oh, now it's 35, so more people are seeing it. And total engagements is 5. So actually, 5 people engaged with that message. Now, if I tweeted out something better, maybe I'd get more engagements and I'd get more activity. Now, engagement is really somebody that is interacting with your tweet in some way. They could be replying to your tweet. They could be, if there's a link inside your tweet, they could be clicking that link, or they could be sharing that tweet with their audience. Okay, so there's many ways that you can engage. And what you're really trying to do with Twitter is get that engagement where you get people doing some activity with your tweet, with your message. Now, what I do, so that's kind of cool if you have a big audience. So if you're like a famous movie star or something like that, you can have millions of people following you on Twitter. Somebody like me, I have like just under 40,000, but most people don't have that big of a following. So it's like when you tweet out, you could be almost tweeting out to nobody. Like there'd be nobody actually listening because you just don't have the following. And when you first start on Twitter, you have no following. So what ends up happening is if you tweet out nothing, like nobody hears you because you're not being followed by anyone. So there's a way to get around that where you can use what's called a hashtag. Now, where I can type in hello world again. And what you do is it's called a hashtag, and it looks just like that. And you can start typing in random things, and they'll actually recommend hashtags. See, I just typed in W, random letter, and they'll actually recommend hashtags. And what I could do is, type in hello. Okay, so what happens is I typed in hi world is just as a test tweet, but you'll see that there's actually a hashtag called hello world. Now that hashtag, what it does is anyone that is searching within Twitter or following that hashtag will see my tweet. So they might not be connected to me in any way, but because of that hashtag, I'm joined into that conversation. So what ends up happening is if you use hashtags, you can expand your reach across Twitter to a much greater audience. Now I have dozens of accounts on Twitter. This is my personal one, but I have other ones that I use for testing. And what I do is I'll tweet out something on an account that maybe has like 5 followers. Nobody's following. And what I'll do is actually use hashtags that are popular hashtags to engage a much bigger audience, where it might engage an audience of thousands or millions of people. And the way you can find hashtags that really can engage a big audience is you can look up trending hashtags. And you can go to Google and do searches for finding like sites that will give you like all the trending hashtags. Or you can actually use the ones on Twitter like on the side here, you'll see, these are all the trending ones, okay? These are all trending US. And you can change it. You can make it trending Canada or whatever area you want. And you can basically use that as a way to find the best hashtags. So I'm gonna put in hello world. And that's my hashtag that I'm just gonna tweet out. People are gonna think I'm weird tweeting out the same thing, but with a hashtag. And I'll tweet that out. And so what I've done is I've done 2 tests. I did one test where I just tweeted hello world, and that goes out to my audience. That goes out to the people that are following me. Now I've done a second tweet, almost the same, hello world, hi world, but now I typed in a hashtag after it. Now that, as I said, that hashtag will allow me to be seen by a bigger audience. Okay, this is still not a really interesting tweet. You should be engaging with your tweets, but the point is, I'm just trying to show you how you can engage with a much bigger audience. I hope this all makes sense. So hashtags are cool, and the other thing you can do with hashtags is you can use more than one hashtag. I recommend 3 to 4 as kind of a maximum number, but I've seen people use like 10, which is kind of crazy, but I recommend 3 to 4, not to look so spammy, where you can engage with multiple audiences. And you can really engage with these popular hashtags. Like these trending ones, you'll see like thousands of people just watching those tweets all the time and just staying within that conversation. It's sort of like being on a group chat with everybody that is interested in that topic. And they're just tweeting out, and they're all engaging with each other. So you can actually see conversations happening within those tweets. And it's kind of interesting to see. So I can sort of give you an example of that. I'm going to click. Okay, so I just want to quickly show how me adding a hashtag maybe impacted my analytics. So I'm going to click this again. So again, it engaged about 20 people, and it's growing. You'll see that it'll probably do as good, or if not better, than my previous tweet with the same short message. Okay. So that's one of the cool things you can do. I'm going to show you what that looks like in terms of engagement within an audience. So if you go to YouTube Rewind, this is just YouTube every year, they have sort of like a video that they do. People always make fun of it, actually. It's not the greatest video. But usually what it is sort of a refresh of all the things that happened in 2009 on YouTube. And it's called YouTube Rewind, okay, where they look at the year and how good all the videos were on YouTube during that year. So so a lot of people will engage with that hashtag discussing that video. So you'll see these are all the tweets that are happening about that hashtag. So you'll see, you know, like people are using that hashtag within their tweets, and they'll tweet out their own videos that they might want to put in there. Watch Mojo is a big channel on YouTube. You know, so these are all the conversations that people are tweeting out about that hashtag. And you'll notice really high levels of engagement. This is engagement. This is the number of people that are commenting on that tweet. This is the number of people that are sharing that tweet with their audience, like they're retweeting it. That means that it's going out to their audiences. And this is the number of people that actually said, oh, I really like this tweet. And they give it a heart, okay? And they engage with it. So you'll see that these trending hashtags, if you say something really cool, you can get a lot of activity happening on your tweet, okay? Where people are really engaging with it. They're trying to interact with you. So generally what you want to do for business is find topics where there's lots of engagement, lots of activity that are also related to your business, or something that you can sort of get onto the conversation with. I generally like to recommend that when people tweet out stuff, that they use the 60-40 rule. That 60% of your activity is business related, where you're talking about your business, you're talking about promotions you might have, you're talking about things that will drive business, maybe offers, maybe sales, products that you're offering, things like that, very business orientated. Now, the other 40% of your tweets are much more social. They're where you're sharing maybe other people's content. You're providing insight into stories that you might hear, things like that, where you're sharing sort of more personal kind of things. It can be still business related, but it should be something where it's not like so salesy. It's not a pitch. It's just more friendly, engaging kind of stuff. Like, okay, so if you kind of use that 60-40 rule, you can sort of balance between, you know, coming across as being just sales, 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 and being much more well-rounded account where you're kind of putting out information that people can use and they can really appreciate. Okay, so that's a kind of a golden rule in my book, the 60-40 rule. It was me that came up with it, so I kind of like it, and I find it works with Twitter accounts. That if you sort of balance it in that proportion, you can get really good results with your Twitter account. I've seen so many accounts where they go too much to either side of that, where they put too much business stuff out of it, and what ends up happening is they start losing followers, and they lose that engagement because people are, you know, kind of getting turned off by the constant bombardment of you know, business related information. So you got to balance it out. Just a rule of thumb. Now, I sort of showed you quickly about using hashtags as one form of getting a bigger audience. There's other things that you can do to engage bigger audiences. And one of the tricks that I've seen, and it's a really popular trick to do, is you can use the @ symbol. And the @ symbol basically is a way of replying to somebody or including that person in your message. So like if I use like, let me go back to my tweet. If I use like @ and Alan P73, that's me saying to myself actually, but just as an example. Or I could put @ like Donald Trump or @ Justin Trudeau or @ you know, some famous person, you know, then I'm basically sending a message to that person. I'm replying to that person. That person will see my message. And then what that does is sometimes that person will like your message, will think it's engaging, and they will retweet it or they'll engage with it. And if they do that, all of a sudden you're leveraging their huge audience to get your message out. So that's a trick that you can do where you can sort of say, you know, you can engage with other people as a way of getting more viewership to your audience. A couple things you can also do within that is, you know, replying to people's messages or sharing other people's tweets has kind of the same impact, where you can actually engage with their audiences by sharing their content and by using that @ symbol, where it's really a message to that person. Okay, so hopefully this is all makes sense. So these are some of the quick tips. Now, one of the biggest things that people ask me is, how do you build an audience on Twitter? Okay, and this is actually a real problem. You know, as I said, it's always good to use like hashtags and all this kind of stuff, but generally you want to have an audience. So it does two things. One is if you have your own audience, then those are people that are truly interested in you and they're more likely to engage with you because they're interested in you. That's one important part of having an audience. Another part of having an audience is just the branding of it. Like if I say that I have 5 people following me, that's not as cool as me saying that I have 40,000 people following me. It's just, make sense? If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. But so yeah, so sort of weird videos in the background here. But yeah, so the idea is you want to build that audience because it can give you all these valuable things where you get that brand capability of showing that you have like people that are really interested in you, and you do actually have people really interested in you. So I'm going to show you a trick on how to find a good audience and how to build that audience. So one of the things I do is I will actually search for a hashtag related to my profession. So my profession is SEO. So what I'll just do is do a search for SEO. So this is the hashtag SEO. And these are all the people tweeting out about SEO. Okay. And then I'll see something like this. This is a blue check mark, means that that person has over 100,000, usually 100,000 followers. And they're sort of a authority within Twitter. They're usually considered somebody that's been verified by Twitter to be somebody outstanding within Twitter. I can get these people for people. Like I get hired a lot to help people get their blue check marks. It's just a real numbers game. If you have 100,000 followers, you get the blue check mark. But the point is, seeing this, I know that this person has a huge following, and that following, because if they're tweeting out about SEO, probably their audience is interested in that topic. Generally, you tweet out what you're interested in. So this is my competitor or somebody in the same space as me tweeting out something. Now, the cool thing is, if I click on them, I can see their profile. I can see their tweets, okay, what kind of stuff they're tweeting out. And if I see that they're tweeting out stuff that's relevant and consistently relevant to my topic, I know that their audience is probably interested in that topic. So if they're constantly tweeting out stuff that is very relevant to what I would tweet out, then I know that they would have a very similar demographic audience that I would have. So I know that if I could just get those same people to be interested in me or to look at me and see my tweets, they'd probably follow me, okay? So what I do is this. I say, okay, well, this guy, he seems to have a good audience, and I'll click on his followers, okay? I'm not sure if you saw that, but right here it says the number of followers. He has 90,000 followers, and I just click that. Now, these are all the people that are following him. This is his followers. Okay, so I know exactly who's following him. Okay, and I can basically go into this list and click follow, follow, follow. And every time I click follow, that follower who is interested in SEO or interested in the same topic, business topic, will get a message that they've been just followed by me. And what generally happens is those people will be like, why is this guy following me? And they will follow you, a percentage of them, usually about 50%. So what ends up happening is if you follow your competitors' followers, if that makes sense, follow your competitors' followers, you will get a percentage of them following you back. And because they're interested in your topic, generally you'll get people that are good potential followers. They're more likely to be engaging. They're more likely to do something with you, and you can get a lot of business from it. So that's how I built my audience. I followed my competitors' followers, and it was just going back, repeating the process over and over again, where I just find people to follow a bunch, and then next day I check how many of them actually follow me back. Maybe give it another day, and then any ones that don't follow me back, I unfollow, and then I repeat the process. And it gradually builds up your audience. Usually you can build up an audience of a few thousand within a month if you use this process, where you just follow the ones that should be interested in you, and then any ones that don't follow you, you unfollow. Now, there's a few rules of thumb that you have to understand, that you should only follow about 200 people per day, no more than that. If you follow more than that, generally Twitter will think you're spamming. So you want to keep kind of under the radar, and usually around 200 is safe. And when you unfollow, when you get rid of the ones that didn't follow you back or weren't interested in you, usually you want to unfollow about 100 per day. Those are just two rules of thumb. I've seen that you can go higher on those numbers, but just just to be safe and under the radar so that Twitter doesn't ban your account, you wanna keep those numbers to a minimum. One sec here. How do you know who is not to unfollow? Like, so what I can do, let me just go back into my profile. I'll show you what that looks like so that you get a sense of, wait, where's my profile? Oh, so that's my tweet. Let me see. And I kind of want to get into my profile. Yeah, there. It just wasn't going for some reason. So here's my followers. I have 38,000 followers, right? So these are my followers, okay? You'll notice it says follows you. So this person follows me, but I don't follow them. This person follows me, but I don't follow them, okay? I follow them. Now I can click on this and I can see all these people, they follow me. Okay, this person doesn't follow me, so I could unfollow them just by clicking it. So this person never followed me. I just click it and unfollow. Now I'm not following this person anymore because they never followed me. Okay, so I just go through and see who is following me, who is not following me. I just go through the list. Oh, this person's not following me. I can unfollow. That's a client, so I'm going to leave them. But the point is, you can basically go through your list and you can see, oh, these people aren't following me. I unfollow. These people aren't following me. Unfollow. Okay. And you can basically just clean out your list of all the people that didn't follow you back. Unfollow. Okay. And it's that simple. Okay. Now there used to be tools that you could use to automate this to a certain extent, but a lot of those tools have been filtered out by Twitter. So yeah, you can't use them. But you can use this method as long as you're small lists. It's usually pretty easy to do, and it looks more natural to Twitter as well. So yeah, so this is some of the basics of Twitter. There's a lot more to it than this. I'm not sure how much time you guys want me to talk about, so talk for. It's already 4:30, but if you have any questions, I'll answer any questions now as well.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. And I think the people here were probably going, oh, wow, I didn't know all these different tips and tricks and the numbers and just understanding what Twitter's like today. And like I said, every single time I hear you speak, I'm like, I had no idea that this is how it works. You showed us a lot how to write a bad tweet, and you kept on saying this horrible tweet. So I know you've kind of given some tips into a good tweet, but could you give us an example of a good tweet?
A good tweet generally is something that is engaging. I can actually give you a really good bad tweet almost. It's a kind of a funny example. There was one of the tricks that you can do in Twitter, and this is, I made huge amounts of money doing this one time. Not this trick that I'm going to say, but similar. What you can do is you can share an affiliate link. So as I said, you can put in a link into your tweet and you can share that, okay? And what Twitter will do is, like, let's say I want to link to my website. I just put in my website address. Okay, and now I'm tweeting out with so that people can actually visit my website from my tweet. Well, you can actually put what's called an affiliate link in there. And that link can go to a product page where people can basically be sold on some product. Now, what this one guy did, not me, I don't want to say I did this because it's really bad, but it was brilliant and bad at the same time. What this one guy did is he took an affiliate link for, like, I think it was like weight loss or teeth whitening or something like that. Those typical kind of products that people try to send out to people. And what he did was he tweeted out using a hashtag that was trending. He tweeted out the message, they found the cure for cancer. Okay. And what happened was a huge amount of engagement. People were like, oh my God, wow. And then there was a link to where this article on the cure for cancer was supposed to be found. Okay. But it was really just his weight loss affiliate link. So he had, I think within an hour, over $100,000 in sales. Okay. It's a bad example in a way, but it shows the power of a good tweet. So when I say a good tweet, I say it's a good tweet in the respect that you find engaging hashtags. So hashtags that get a huge audience, and you send out a message that is going to get engagement. Not necessarily the same as his message, which was kind of evil in a way, but something that is going to get that click. So a good example of messages that get good clicks are like quotes. Like Albert Einstein has lots of good quotes. Mark Twain has lots of good quotes. And generally what you do is you tweet out a really good quote, like something cool, like what's a good Einstein one? Like the universe is probably finite, but stupidity is not, is more like infinite, something like that. Or human stupidity is infinite, but the universe is finite, or something. That was something Einstein said. Well, that kind of funny, kind of cute quote, people share those things. So what ends up happening is if you put a quote into your tweet and then use a few hashtags to engage a bigger audience, what you can do is then put in your own link to your website where you could have like an article that you want to drive people to. And people, because they're sharing that tweet, you're all of a sudden sharing your link. And people are now sharing your message that you're trying to get out, that link where you're driving them to your website. So that's a kind of a good tweet.
The good, bad example. It works.
Good, bad example. Sorry.
So I think we'll stop the recording at this point in time and open it up for if there's any other questions.